All right. Welcome to the show. We're here with Tim Harwell, Superintendent of Bedford County Schools, and we're going to just sort of talk about things that are happening because we know this is a new, since we've done this last time, this is a new position for you.
Yes, sir.
You've been in training, as I say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I know you assisted Tammy in a lot of stuff,
yes,
and
sir.
you were trying to get the acclimated to everything, and then when you transition, and we just talked about that before we went on there, when you transition, there's always a few hiccups and a few things you got to take care of. So sort of tell me what's going on.
This is officially week 4 in my administration as superintendent, and it's been very busy. Got my first board meeting under my belt last Thursday night, so kind of broke the ice on that when everything went well. But just to talk about some of the things you and I were talking about prior to being on the air is that, Dr. Garrett did a really, really good job of exposing me to a lot of the responsibilities of a superintendent. One that really pops off the page right now, Benny, is just budgeting. We have a pretty significant budget, over $100 million that we really spend a lot of time, in going through that budget and meeting with our supervisors and meeting with Robert Daniel, our finance, and meeting with our board. We have several work sessions that center around our budget. And so we've got that budget. It was passed by our board, and we're hoping and praying that on this last day in June that our county commission will pass it. I don't see anything issues there, but that's just one example of how she really made a point that I was by her side through that process. Right. So going into next year for the 27-28 budget, it will still be a learning curve being in my position, but once again, I've had that opportunity to experience it. And it's been a very busy 3 weeks, and going into this 4th week, been working on a lot of different things, making a lot of decisions as far as administration decisions. We have a lot of new administrators, principals in our schools, and I'd like to just...
Yeah, I noticed that on Facebook, new principals and stuff.
Yeah, and I'd just like to kind of give them a shout out and just let our audience out there know, number one, how proud of them I am and how confident I am in them being the leaders in these particular buildings. Brad Brown, he replaced Dr. Ralston at Community High School. As we know, Dr. Ralston, he's a fixture out there. He's been a principal of Community High 20-something years, right? So Brad Brown is a graduate of Community High. Actually, he was a student under Robert. He was a dean of students there at some point in time, and he had a year experience as an assistant principal at Community Middle. And so when Dr. Ralston stepped down, Brad put his name in the interview. He interviewed well, so he'll be the next principal at Community High. And he brings a lot of energy, a lot of great ideas to that building, so we're looking really forward to what he's going to do at Community High. Kelly Kingery, she's going to be the new principal at Southside Elementary. Rebecca Craner, she retired and she's going to Rutherford County. She actually lives there, so it'd be closer for her there. Kelly Kingery and I go way back. She was my RTI coordinator and a big influence in our Renaissance program at Shelbyville Central High School, and she is coming off being the assistant principal at Southside, and she's gonna do a fantastic job. Once again, a great educator when she was in the classroom. She really impressed me while she was working with me when I was principal at Shelbyville Central, and I know she's going to do great things at Southside. Patrick Hasty has transitioned from Cascade Middle principal to Cascade High principal.
Yeah, everybody seemed to be excited about that. I'm a Cascade.
Patrick is, once again, his blood runs black and orange. He's a graduate out there. Was a football player for Cascade High School football, and just loves that community, and the community really loves him as well. So, and I just want to, continue prayers for his family.
Yeah, that was a rough. I heard about it last couple weeks ago.
Yeah, just the loss in the family. But Patrick is a believer, and he just trusts in God, and I know that that's definitely given him some peace during this tough time.
Yeah, for sure.
Just continue prayers for his family. He left as a result of Miss Sorrell's leaving at the high school. I brought her on board at the central office. She's going to be my assistant superintendent of instruction.
Okay.
The reason why is because she's just really impressed me over the last 4 years.
Yeah, everybody seemed to love her at Cascade.
She's done great things there at Cascade High. Reward school multiple years, level 5 school multiple years, and having an opportunity to see her work as the instructional leader in that building. I knew if I ever had an opportunity to bring her on board at central office, I was wanting to do that. So she's going to be my assistant superintendent of instruction. Okay. So everything that falls under that umbrella, she'll be helping lead me.
Was that a similar position like you had with Tammy? Or
it's similar. And actually, Benny, what I did is just as a result of some moves within our school administration across the district, it allowed me some flexibility to do some different things at the central office.
Gotcha. Okay.
And how I restructured things. I was able to do that because of the last 5 years being assistant superintendent, just kind of seeing how things worked at the central office, how responsibilities were divvied out. And in my role as an assistant superintendent, there was quite a lot of things on my plate.
Right.
And I thought if I ever had an opportunity where I could separate some of these things to where that individual could focus a little bit more
on a certain particular
on certain thing. For example, here, instruction, right? Obviously that's why we're in this business.
Exactly.
We're here to instruct our students to the best of our ability. So I have full confidence in Miss Sorrells being able to lead that part.
Right.
And while I'm on it, what I did also part of the restructuring is, and I was able to do this without adding any money to our budget, and not adding any new positions. I'm just shifting some things around. Neil Watson will be my assistant superintendent of operations. We're one of the largest, if not the largest, employer in our county. We have over almost 1,400 employees under our charge, whether that be teachers, whether that be educational assistants, cafeteria workers, maintenance workers, administrators. It's a lot of people that we are responsible for personnel-wise. And Mr. Watson will be assisting me in overseeing the operations part of our school district. And Neil and I go way back. When I was principal at Thomas Magnet School, I brought Neil on board as a 5th grade science and social studies teacher. I got to see him personally at work in the classroom and was really impressed. When I became principal at Cascade High School and I was needing an assistant principal, Neil was in the process of getting his school administration master's degree. I knew he was the guy I wanted to bring on board as my assistant principal at Cascade High. He did a fantastic job. He eventually became principal at Harris Middle School, and eventually he became our HR manager and did a great job in revamping and improving our HR department. I would put him up against any HR director in the state when it comes to districts are concerned. So when I had an opportunity to restructure, he's made for this position. HR will obviously be under his operations responsibilities. And while I'm on that, we have replaced Neil with Randall Harvey. Randall Harvey is going to be our next HR manager. Randall is an Shelbyville Central High School graduate. He is a homeboy here. He's a Bedford County native. Has worked in HR for years with Walmart. Okay. And when that position became available, he applied for the position. And he's going to be our next HR manager. And I know he's going to be a good face and voice for our district there. Some other changes. Malcolm Martin is replacing Whitney Yos at Cartwright Elementary. He will be the next principal there. He has been the assistant principal there. Malcolm's a very smart young man. once again, brings a lot of energy, a lot of innovative ideas. He led the STEAM program at Cartwright Elementary, and I know he's going to do great things there. But one other change, Rebecca Tidwell, she was our secondary supervisor. She's going to be moving into Patrick's old spot at Cascade Middle School.
Okay.
I've worked with Rebecca in different capacities. She was my assistant principal when I was principal at Shelbyville Central High School. She was our secondary supervisor at the central office, and so she'll be moving into that principal role.
Okay.
And part of the restructuring I'm doing at the central office, I'm also streamlining it at the same time. So her secondary supervisor position will be transitioned over to Lori Sexton, who is our CTE director. She's been on the program many times. So she will be absorbing that secondary supervisor role in addition to her CTE director role. So as a result of that, I was able to streamline that. And moving forward, I'll probably be doing some other things like that, just budget-wise, seeing what our budget's going to look like in the next couple of years. That's something I'm going to have to be very, very aware of. When I need to streamline some things here, right. I'm going to have to do that.
And how long do y'all have to? How far out do you have to budget?
Oh yeah, it's a process, Benny. We start. It's really an ongoing process, right. But we officially dive into it in January. As soon as we get back from Christmas break, that's one of the primary things that we focus on.
And the one you work on when you come back in January is for next year?
Yes, for example. Going into this 26-27 budget year, in January of 27, we'll be working on the 27-28 budget.
Gotcha.
And what that looks like, we meet several meetings. We meet with every supervisor at our central office. We meet with every principal, and we give them a budget sheet.
Yeah.
And so they have time to work on that budget sheet. What are some of the things that you need? What are some of the things you want to keep? In some cases, it's a wish list. They say, if you can afford it, we would like to add this. So we go through that process. Just the meeting part of it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, meeting with everyone, us collecting the request, collecting those things that they want to keep, and we take all that into regard, and we just start going line item by line item. How much money is allotted to this line item this year? How much have we spent at this point? Is there some monies that we can move from one line item that we're not using to another and where we need it? It's just part of the budget.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you're in a business, and that's sort of what it is, you're having to move money from this account over to this one.
It's part of, and that's ongoing, throughout the year, because you can budget all day long, but there's things that happen during a school year that you didn't necessarily budget for. For example, if a boiler goes down, that's just one example. There's several other examples that just pop up. You go, all right, we didn't budget for that. So we're going to have to pull some money from to cover that expense in order to meet that need at that moment.
At that time.
Yes, sir. So it's the budgeting process, normally what we do from there, once we collect all that information from supervisors and principals, that's when we start meeting with our board. And we have at least 2 to 3 budget work sessions where the board is asking questions, we're presenting what we want to do. This year, for an example, Benny, we put in our budget is a 5% raise for everybody, which is a pretty significant raise, when you look at it. And we have been basically obligated to increase our teacher pay to get to what Governor Lee wanted us to do. By the end of this budget year, he wanted us to have all teachers starting pay at $50,000.
Right.
So instead of doing, and most districts did it the way Bedford County did, instead of doing it all at once, once we knew that mandate was put out there, we started increasing our teacher pays, year after year in order for us to get to that point of.
That way it ain't all at one time.
It's not all at one time. Now, I will say that when you are increasing teacher pay and for example, increasing our teacher pay and our classified this year, that increase itself was about $2 million.
Right.
And you spread that out over the last, in particular, 4 years, where that same amount has been much the same over that time frame. You know, we're having more expenses than we have revenue coming in. So that's why when I was saying earlier about a tight budget, we're running on a tight budget right now, and we're going to have to be very creative moving forward what we do with our budget. We're going to, you know, whenever the new mayor is elected, Chairman Cook, Michael Cook, our board chairman, he and I have already talked about, hey, we're going to be probably one of the first people knocking on their door. Hey, here is what our budget is looking like, and moving forward, here are some things we're going to have to consider. A big part of our budget is determined by TISA, which is that's the money that we get from the state.
Okay, Tennessee money.
Yeah, that's the Tennessee Investment in Students Act. I think that's what TISA means. And so that is determined by each student. You know, the amount of money that we get from the state is determined by student numbers. So, and not only that, for example, one student in Bedford County equates to about $7,500, what we get from the state. Now, if that student has other weights, and that's what they call them, weights, for example, if the student is an ESL student, if a student is a SPED student, if a student is homeless, we get additional monies from the state if they have those weights. You know, so even with that, you got to take in consideration that almost 80% of our budget is personnel. So we only have about 20% of our budget to pay for everything else. And there's a lot of everything else there.
I can imagine.
A capital outlay, and keeping our buildings up and going, and just programs, textbooks, laptops, the list goes on and on. So we have to be, once again, very creative where we pull that money and making sure that we meet the needs of our teachers and meeting the needs of our students. So you can only get so creative.
That is true.
At some point in time, we're going to, have a real good conversation with our county officials and just say, hey, we reached a point to where we got to figure some things out.
I'll tell you what, we're going to have to take a break, and we'll take a 1-minute break, and we'll be right back.
Your eyes are a precious thing. You've got to take care of them. Looking for clear vision and hometown care you can trust? See the difference at Dr. Dale Hasty Family Eye Care, 605 North Main Street in Shelbyville, across from the U.S. Post Office. From comprehensive eye exams to helping you find that perfect pair of glasses, Dr. Hasty and his friendly team are focused on your family's vision and comfort every step of the way. Noticing changes in your eyesight? Time for that yearly checkup? Let's take care of it. 931-684-2020. Dr. Dale Hasty Family Eye Care, because your eyes are a precious thing.
Kincaid's is proud to offer Beauty Rest Black to our customers. Beauty Rest Black represents a leap forward in bedding with sleep climate technology keeping you cool, and triple-stranded pocketed coils to give you luxurious support all night long. Wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day with a new Beauty Rest Black mattress from Kincaid Service Company, 400 Madison Street, Shelbyville, across from the Speedway gas station. 931-684-5662.
All right, this is Benny Pulley, behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting, here with Bedford County Superintendent Tim Harwell. And we're going over the budget. We're going over a little bit of things with the raises and different things. And we was talking about SROs and all that kind of stuff. But sort of give me an idea what you got coming up as far as, I know the season, the school season is fixing to start. And when does it start this year?
Yeah, first day is August 1st.
August 1st.
Yeah, now for students.
Right.
Now we will start bringing teachers in those last few weeks in July.
Right.
We always bring our brand new teachers in first. We have a new teacher orientation that goes over a couple of days, and we just bring them up to speed on just responsibilities, curriculum, all those things that a new teacher is going to need to know.
Right.
We try to spread that out over a couple of days. Then that next week, we bring everybody together. We have our BCS kickoff. Normally, you guys
we're usually there.
And I hope you guys can attend again this year. But all of our teachers across the district, our EAs, everyone, we invite them to that. And that is at Shelbyville Central High School's gym. I believe that's July 28th, but don't quote me on that. But and we also have professional development. That kicks off the professional development that we have for our teachers. We have 2 days of that. And then that following week, well, in between that time and when we officially have students in our building, we have open houses, right? All the schools will start having open houses where parents can go in and meet new teachers and walk the building and everything like that. So we're knocking on the door. So what we're doing right now is trying to fill positions, getting our professional development ready for those teachers when they come in. We will be meeting with our principals and assistant principals on July 15th and July 16th, and that's where the central office, we're providing PD for our school administrators.
Right.
So we're knocking on the door. A lot of times people say, well, summers must be a little bit lighter for you guys. No, not necessarily. I mean, in some cases it's very busy. And also during the summer, Dr. Garrett told me this, and I'm living it right now. She says, be prepared in June that your central office staff, a lot of our staff takes their vacation days in June. So if you went to our parking lot right now, it's about half what it normally is. So when I'm needing to reach out to a supervisor and I look on my calendar whether they're on vacation, so you got to work through that. And she forewarned me about that, but it is what it is. We want our people to take these vacations and refresh and recoup and get that energy back and everything like that. But I don't want to forget, and I don't know if we've had an opportunity on the air to say congratulations to the community high school Vikings softball team.
Oh man, that was great.
Oh man, it's Cam Farrell has done a fantastic job.
He did excellent. Excellent.
And not only in just culminating in and having a state championship, everything he did prior to that, and developing a feeder program, and having those players involved in softball and almost all year in some ways, So he has developed a really good program there. Not just a good team, but a good program.
It was great. Well, we just, we cover Central and we cover Cascade. We can't cover all of them.
Right.
So what we did is when the season ends, as soon as the season ends, we went to Unionville to start carrying the girls because we knew they were doing good and we figured they'd go.
Sir.
And they'd made it. But I was so proud. And, of course, I was at that one of the events. I can't remember what it was. So I brought my boom box and turned it on WLIJ, and people were, listening to it.
Well, I mean, all of our schools have a big following and fan base and community, obviously. They love their sports down there, and in particular softball and what Cam has done. And, and being at that state championship game and just witnessing that and seeing – how it brings our community together.
Because you had all the schools, you had Central, Cascade, all the families from those different ones coming to watch them play.
And the cool thing about it, Benny, is that during that time, and it's not uncommon for the spring fling. That's when all the spring sports. Normally, those games are happening in Murfreesboro.
Right.
Normally, and whether it be soccer, whether it be tennis, whether it be baseball, all those. And TSSAA does a great job in coordinating that. But they reached a point because of the weather. They had to reach out to us and reach out to Charlie Pope at Shelbyville Central, and thank goodness to Cooper Steel. We had fields that we could play on because those fields drain so quickly as a result of them being turf and the drainage system. So TSSAA reached out to Charlie. Charlie reached out to us and said, heck they bring them on. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Pope and his admin team and everyone involved that made that happen. TSSAA sent me a letter and just just a letter of gratitude saying how grateful they were to Bedford County and in particular Shelbyville Central for hosting that event.
Yeah.
Because they didn't host just that one game.
Yeah, I know.
It was,
that to me, because of Cooper Steel and what they did, that shows his love for the community.
Right.
But it also shows that we can come together.
That's right.
And bring other schools here to see about our town.
Yeah, and what a showcase.
Oh, yeah.
And what was really cool after that, just seeing how social media just exploded.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just so happy for that program and for the coach, but in particular for those young ladies.
Oh, yeah.
That is something they'll never, ever forget.
Yeah, we have the sports program over on our other station, sister station, and they interviewed him, brought him in to interview him, and he brought a couple girls with him, so it was good to see him.
Yeah, we're recognizing them at the July board meeting. We're actually having that meeting at Community High School, so we will officially, as a school board and as a school district, be recognizing them.
Well, that's great, because they did a great job, and them girls really gave their heart to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure did. Yeah. So now, as you're getting ready for this new season in school, do we have new teachers that we're still needing, or are we? Yeah.
Right now, I reported to the board Thursday night that, and it was kind of funny. I was giving the report by school of how many openings we had, and I got to Community Middle School, and Dr. Cook, who is the principal there, I said, 2 positions open at Community Middle School, and she spoke up and says, no, we're at 0 now. We're fully staffed. So that number went from 21 to 19, and last time I checked, we're even less than 19 right now, which is really a better position as far as where we're at right now with those 19 or less positions than we normally are. We're around between maybe 30 or so at this time, so we're making some progress, and I think that you can attribute that to where we're keeping our teachers. We're bringing them back. Teachers want to stay here, and I attribute that to the cultures that we're creating in our buildings.
I have to say, I came out of Nashville in '88. Took my kids to Cascade. One was in the 6th grade, I believe. The other one's in the 4th. Raised them through. Both of them graduated from Cascade. Now my grandson, he just graduated a couple of years ago.
Yes, sir.
And then I got a granddaughter's fixing to graduate next year. And it's just a good atmosphere. Not a lot of violence, not a lot of, they all seem to love each other. It's just a great school.
Yeah, and I think you and I have talked about this before. I had an opportunity to be out there in that community for 5 years as principal at Cascade High School, and you're right. You're talking about a really family-oriented type of community. So they'll support whatever you do. Obviously, in sports,
for sure.
They're big supporters of their sports teams out there. But anything I wanted to do or initiate as a principal out there, I knew I had that support there. And as a principal, that there's a lot of value in that. Knowing that, hey, if I ask, more than likely there's going to be a line of people just ready and willing to help you, And
well, I know Patrick could do a good job, but Miss Sorrells did a great job.
Yes, sir. And so Miss Ayers, the principal at Community. I better not say.
You better not say.
No, better not.
I better not say that.
Boy, can we edit that? But Cascade Elementary, Robin does a fantastic job there. Getting them ready for middle school, and now Miss Tidwell.
Well, she was taught good by her mother.
Oh yeah, Brent Honey.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You talking about good as gold?
Yeah, everybody loves Honey.
Oh yeah, and I love her brownies, man, because she always made a point when I was principal at Cascade High. She was a teacher that worked for us there.
Yeah.
But she would randomly bring me a bag of brownies.
And my kids love Miss Ayers.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic. She is.
And I've heard her daughter's the same way.
Oh yeah, heart of gold.
Yeah.
And loves kids.
Yeah.
Loves kids, and that's what you want in a principal.
You do. You want somebody that loves them.
That's right. That's
for sure.
Right.
Because when you're not with them, it's always good to have people around them that are loving on them.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time.
We got about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You and I were talking about earlier. We're beginning to get data in from the state, and we've got some preliminary data on our chronic absenteeism rate. This was something that the state, it was a point of, it was an accountability data point that all districts are responsible for. And chronic absenteeism means that they consider a student that misses 10 or more school days during the school year as being chronically absent. What that means is if they're missing that number of days, it's chronically affecting their ability to learn and keep up.
Yeah.
And I totally understand why we're accountable. So every district is responsible for that chronic absenteeism rate. I am proud to announce, I can't officially give the numbers because it's still embargoed, but every one of our schools in Bedford County, this is a data point that you want to go down.
Right. Right.
And every one of our schools across the district, and at some point in time I can circle back and
That'd be great,
and give you the real numbers on it. But I've seen the preliminary numbers, and those numbers I don't think are going to change. Every school in our district, their chronic absenteeism rate went down. You know, and as a result, obviously, our district chronic absenteeism
Glad they
rate.
didn't do it when I was in school. my dad was in the motel restaurant business, so I think one year I missed like 25 days because employee layout, somebody, and I'd have to work.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that makes it hard. So I graduated. I took a year, 2 years in one, so I could graduate and get on out because I couldn't learn missing all those days. And you're right. If you're missing, you're not learning. Yeah. And I tried to cram as much as I could in when I was there, you know.
Right. If you think about it, you know, if every day you miss as a student, you know, and in particular certain content areas, math, for example. You know, if that teacher is teaching new content in math that day and you miss it, there's a gap. You know, that teacher's going to have to circle back around, make sure that you're caught up with the other students. But there's nothing like being in that classroom in real time when that instruction is first being delivered. You know,
for sure.
There's just different. Getting it secondhand, you know, it's just not quite the same. So for every day is missed, that gap gets larger and larger, you know. And we have a system in place, and all districts have a system in place. At a certain number of days, we send out a notification to the parent. Hey, your child has missed this number of days. If this continues down the path, we might be looking at truancy court. You know, we're holding our parents more accountable. You know, because a lot of times that's where...
Now, if they, like for instance, you know, one year I had pneumonia and I was out probably 10 or 12 days. I was in the hospital with German measles and pneumonia, so I wasn't able to attend. Do they have when they send the letter out, do they have a way of saying I've got a doctor's excuse? Or
with chronic absenteeism rate, it's pretty cut and dry. Regardless if it's excused or unexcused, they're still counting that day. But here's where the flexibility comes into play. For example, if we know a student like Benny, you know, and Benny was out because of just extended illness, even though, yes, on paper, that Benny is being looked at as a chronically absent student, we know the backstory behind that. Us pursuing truancy court, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Now, on the other end of that, if we know as a result of, because our team at the central office do a lot of home visits, and if we have a student that's chronically absent, we have a team of people that will arrive at the home, talk to the parent. Hey, what's going on? You know, why is your child not coming to school?
A lot of times parents don't know it.
That's right. In particular, students get older and they go to work and things like that. So that's part of it. And sometimes, to be quite honest, it's neglect. You know, parents and the parents are not prioritizing education, and as a result, they, you know, are not holding their child to be responsible to show up. But when a child is in elementary school, that falls on the parent. You know, as far as that child being able to get to school and get on the bus, you know, whatever it might be. So we take each child, as we should individually, into account when we're looking at chronic absenteeism. You know, so but we're so happy that rate is going down. And I'm going to turn that right back to something I said earlier. I attribute that we're creating schools where students want to be.
Yeah. And that's the key. And I think if a kid feels comfortable in school, they're more apt to learn.
Oh, yeah.
And, back years ago, we had a lot of bullying, and and I'm sure it still goes on today. So, but back when we were school, man, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
If y'all got in a fight in the hall at the end of school, then you met in the gym, and the coach made you fight it out.
Yeah.
And I mean,
times have changed.
I got a few whelps, but you learned your lesson.
Right.
But but the whole thing's changed. I want, before we get off here, I want to ask you, the program y'all put in place that does like the culinary and all the arts, all the different things.
Yes.
How's that going? And is it expanded?
It's going great. Now, a lot of that we were able to implement as a result of the Innovative School Grant.
Right.
Governor Lee, pretty much when he first came into office, that was one of his biggest initiatives as far as education is concerned. Yeah. He wanted to direct a lot of money from the state into this innovative school model, in particular for CTE-like programs, and more than anything, to develop an educated workforce. That's really the premise behind all of it. And so millions of dollars were thrown to districts across the state, and we utilized that money. I think we utilized that money wisely.
Yeah.
We culinary art, greenhouses, ag barns.
Yeah.
It's all of that's going well. Now that money has ran out,
right.
But we're still going to sustain those programs out of our general purpose budget,
right.
because we see the impact. I think another reason why kids want to come to school is because of programs like this.
Oh, yeah. I know when I was in school, we had welding, car body, auto repair, and then we had farming, but because I graduated from Alvin C. York up in East Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
So they had a 400-acre farm, so they had a farming program. And so it's great.
Yeah. And that's a great school, Alvin C. York. I know John Bush. He's the current principal there. Yeah. He and I have grown up together as far as school administrators. Right. I've known each other for a long time, and I know he's a good leader for that.
Yeah, it was a great school. I enjoyed it. I wish they would restore the old one, but I can't do nothing about that.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we're out of time. Anything else you want to say, last words before
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing teachers again. I want them obviously to enjoy their summer break and rest and recoup and do those things that help them do that, and but I'm looking forward to seeing everybody back together in July, and where we can rock and roll.
That's right. Make a productive school year.
That's
now,
right.
grade wise, how are we doing? I know we came up on a lot of it.
Yeah, that data is still rolling in.
Okay.
Now, as far as letter grades, we normally, Benny, don't get that data until later in the school year.
Okay.
Now,
so remind me.
Definitely.
We'll go over that, because I'd love to hear that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank y'all for joining us. Tim Harwell, Superintendent of Bedford County School. Benny Pulley. See you next time.
Visit Kincaid Service Company today to experience the superior comfort of a Serta mattress. Serta has pioneered sleep innovation for more than 90 years, bringing quality products to more than 150 countries worldwide. Serta Comfort is validated by consumers with thousands of 5-star reviews and are designed and assembled in the U.S. at one of Serta's state-of-the-art facilities. Serta's award-winning mattress collections are created by providing superior comfort along with overall support and breathability. Get Serta Comfort by visiting Kincaid Service Company in Shelbyville. Online at kincaidservice.com. Your eyes are a precious thing. You've got to take care of them. Looking for clear vision and hometown care you can trust? See the difference at Dr. Dale Hasty Family Eye Care, 605 North Main Street in Shelbyville, across from the U.S. Post Office. From comprehensive eye exams to helping you find that perfect pair of glasses, Dr. Hasty and his friendly team are focused on your family's vision and comfort every step of the way. Noticing changes in your eyesight? Time for that yearly checkup? Let's take care of it. 931-684-2020. Dr. Dale Hasty Family Eye Care, because your eyes are a precious thing.